A fast food chain wanted to sell more milkshakes, so they hired a market research firm who did what market research firms do. They looked at what flavors were sold, they interviewed customers about what milkshakes they liked, what they didn't like, what they wished they could buy, and they built profiles and personas of milkshake drinkers. They analyzed milkshake sales by time of day of week, looking for trends and seasonality, and then they gathered all of their discoveries into recommendations for the client. Armed with these new insights, the fast food chain launched a multi-million-dollar advertising campaign. But milkshake sales didn't improve. So the company hired a new research group. And this group started with a fundamentally different question. It's a question that may surprise you. And it's a question that can transform your business's generosity and amplify its impact in the world. Welcome to Generosity at Work, a podcast that explores the ways in which generosity is at work in our workplaces and how it's at work in the world. I'm Keith Jennings, a community impact executive with Jackson Healthcare. And in the last episode, we posed the question, what business are we really in? We discovered that socially conscious businesses like John's Crazy Socks view their mission as much more expansive and community-focused than the products they offer. And in this final episode, we'll revisit the key themes from this season and discuss practical next steps to help your business grow as a positive force in the community. A fast food chain wanted to sell more milkshakes, and they hired a firm that took a traditional approach to market research. They did product and sales analyses, demographic and psychographic analyses, competitive analyses, but their efforts failed. A new group under academic and business consultant Clayton Christensen was brought in, and they started with a fundamentally different question. They asked, what jobs do people hire milkshakes to do in their lives? Now, let's listen to that question again. What jobs do people hire milkshakes to do in their lives? This question may sound strange at first, but what the research team discovered was profound, and it led to success with milkshake sales. They discovered two key groups of milkshake buyers. The first group hired milkshakes to make their boring commute more enjoyable. Milkshakes tasted good. They lasted for a 20-minute commute. They staved off hunger until lunch. And they were something commuters could consume with one hand while driving without getting greasy fingers or crumbs in their lap. A second group of milkshake buyers were parents hiring milkshakes to do the job of being loving parents. After a week of no, you can't have that, moms and dads could hire a milkshake as a yes moment with their kids. This has become known as the Jobs to Be Done framework, and this research evolved into the book Competing Against Luck by Clay Christensen and team. The point is this. We hire products, services, and ideas to do specific jobs in our lives. And each job contains a mix of functional, emotional, and social dimensions. For example, those morning commuters were hiring milkshakes to do a functional job of convenience and an emotional job of enjoyment. Those after-school parents were hiring milkshakes to do a social job of bonding and an emotional job of feeling like good parents. The power of the Jobs to Be Done framework is that it opens up new avenues for innovation. What other food or drink products could parents hire to bond with their kids? Or what other twist on milkshakes could take morning commutes to the next level without jeopardizing the essential job to be done? When it comes to being a socially conscious business with a drive to make a difference in the world, a good question to ask is this: what jobs are your stakeholders hiring generosity to do through your business? And then next we turn this question on ourselves as business leaders. What functional, emotional, and social jobs are we hiring generosity to do for and through our business? The more specific you can get with defining the jobs you and your stakeholders want done, the more fruitful your business's impact can be. What we learned in season 1 of the podcast is that generosity can uniquely do certain jobs that the sales and operational parts of our business cannot. It can create engagement opportunities that directly impact the health and well-being of our employees and our community neighbors. It can imbue a sense of meaning and purpose into our jobs, and it can foster a business reputation that people want to buy from and work with and work for. In this season of the podcast, we've explored what it takes to get started in ways that can help fulfill those jobs to be done. We learned from David Newell of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that our first act of generosity as a business neighbor should be listening and learning. This is the first step in a journey away from transactional giving toward relational giving. Then we built on the idea of relational giving. We learned from philanthropy expert Jennifer McCrae how business generosity is a natural extension of transformative leadership. This type of leadership means accepting responsibility for enabling others to achieve a shared purpose in the domain of uncertainty. We learned from University of Georgia professor Dr. Jessica Riddell ways to move beyond service-level feel-good activities and engage our teams in effective volunteerism, community service that truly makes a difference. And finally, we learned from John's Crazy Socks that business generosity can be most impactful when it aligns our origin story and core business strategy with our community's unmet needs. So where do we go from here? Let's explore that after this quick break.
Generosity at Work is made possible by Jackson Healthcare. As one of the nation's premier healthcare workforce companies, we're driven by our mission of improving the delivery of patient care and the lives of everyone we touch. Founded by our chairman and CEO, Rick Jackson, we began on a simple principle that talented professionals with a shared purpose can improve lives. Serving more than 10 million patients each year, we're proud to appear on the 100 Best Companies to Work For list by Fortune and the Companies That Care list by People. And we're always looking for bright professionals with a drive to serve others and grow professionally. If that's you, visit us at jacksonhealthcare.com.
Your business can practice generosity through the conventional channels: grants, sponsorships, volunteerism, donation drives, matching gifts, board service. These are great things, important things. But I want to encourage your business to practice generosity through innovative, creative channels: pro bono work for local nonprofits, mentoring nonprofit leaders, internships or apprenticeships for underserved youth, relief funds for employees facing hardships, Shark Tanks with local schools, new community programming that brings together nonprofits and local businesses. The important insight here is that you don't have to have the answers to get started. As a matter of fact, not knowing is an advantage. Social challenges such as foster care, disease eradication, and food insecurity are complex, multifaceted issues influenced by numerous variables and involving a wide range of stakeholders. There are no simple or quick fixes, and there is no finish line. Learning is the point. Curiosity and vulnerability are essential leadership ingredients. Ordinary action, when done consistently over time, can produce extraordinary results. A great example of this is Creature Comforts Brewing Company in Athens, Georgia. The team at Creature Comforts knew they wanted to be a force for good in their local community, but what made sense for a brewery? How could a beer company serve kids and families in a sincere way that made sense? Instead of guessing, they started with going out into the community and listening. They formed a community-based advisory council and conducted a community needs assessment. What emerged was a focus on literacy. They discovered a correlation between third graders who are not on reading level and high school dropouts. And so they partnered with an Athens-based nonprofit called Books for Keeps to create a literacy mentoring program. And they set a clear goal to increase third grade reading proficiency from 20% to 60% by 2027. The local nonprofit created the curriculum and trained the mentors. Creature Comforts, the local business, funded the initiative and offers staff as volunteers. They started with a pilot program in a local school, and early results showed it was working. They also partnered with Dr. Jessica Riddell at the University of Georgia to serve as an advisor and measure progress. Early results showed that students participating in the program had 3.4 times the reading proficiency growth compared to students not involved in the program. This is what this podcast is all about. It's a beautiful example of generosity at work in Creature Comforts Brewing and how that generosity is at work in Clark County, Georgia. In 2023, the company opened a brewery in Los Angeles, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for this incredibly generous and purpose-driven company. And that region of California is home to another company doing innovative community work, In-N-Out Burger. They're not just serving local nonprofits. They created the Slave to Nothing Foundation to work to free individuals from enslavement by people or substances. If I had to choose one image to encapsulate everything we've explored this season, it would be Anthony Bourdain. What captivated millions of people about Bourdain was his no-nonsense approach to learning. He embraced his curiosity, admitted what he didn't know, ventured out to meet people, listened intently, and absorbed their stories. Every episode had to entertain, enlighten, and engage viewers. Those were his 3 E's. He wasn't afraid to learn in public and invite others to learn along with him. This podcast isn't something Jackson Healthcare created because we have the answers. Like Bourdain, we are continuously working to learn how to be a better, more generous company and business neighbor. And we wanted to invite you to learn along with us. Here are some thought-provoking questions I would like to leave you with. What business are you truly in? And what legacy are you building? Are you simply focusing on selling more products to more people, or are you striving to create a lasting impact? Will you leave your little part of the world better than you found it? What functional, emotional, and social jobs are your stakeholders relying on your business to fulfill? And what needs is your organization addressing to sustain its own growth and purpose? And how is generosity at work in your workplace? And how is that generosity spilling over and at work in local communities? As more businesses commit to being generous neighbors in the communities they serve, imagine the incredible impact we could create together. It really would be a beautiful day in our neighborhoods. Generosity at Work is produced by Jackson Healthcare's Love Lifts Community Impact Platform. To learn more about our company and work, visit jacksonhealthcare.com. A heartfelt thank you goes out to Dan Riveros, our producer and audio engineer, and to Kyle Shaddles, our creative director, for their incredible work on this podcast. Special recognition also goes out to Jackson Healthcare's chairman and CEO, Rick Jackson, and our president, Shane Jackson, for supporting this podcast as a space to learn in public. You know, making a difference in the world begins with the choices we make in our own lives. Shane Jackson's new book, This is the Thing About Life, Joy, and Owning Your Purpose, releases on January 28th, 2025. You can learn more and subscribe to Shane's newsletter at shanejackson.com. We would love for you to share this podcast with your colleagues and peers, and we sincerely thank you for listening. Let's keep the good going.